Welcome to Stamps Old World UK, your #1 destination for everything philately, from historical rarities to modern-day market trends. Today's deep dive episode is all about stamp market values in today's world, with a special look at a fascinating piece of postal history, the 1923 United States 2-cent Harding Memorial Stamp. We'll be discussing not only what makes stamps like this valuable, but how much collectors are actually willing to pay today in dollars, and what factors influence these figures. If you've got an old album lying around or recently inherited a family collection, you might just be sitting on a tiny paper treasure. Let's begin by examining the stamp in question. The stamp you're seeing is the 2-cent Black Memorial Stamp honoring President Warren G. Harding, who served as the 29th President of the United States. This particular stamp was issued shortly after Harding's sudden death in 1923, and it was the first mourning stamp issued by the U.S. government since the passing of Abraham Lincoln. It features a strong, somber profile of Harding, with bold numbers and ornate Victorian-style engraving, characteristics that continue to capture the imagination of collectors around the world. But how much is this stamp actually worth in today's market? Well, stamp collecting, or philately, isn't just a nostalgic hobby. It is a billion-dollar global market, with auctions, online platforms, and even investment portfolios dedicated entirely to stamps. When we talk about value, the first factor that always comes up is condition. A used Harding 2-cent stamp, meaning one that has been postmarked, might only be worth a few cents to $1 if it's in average condition. But a mint condition stamp, meaning one that has never been used and still has its original gum on the back, can fetch between $5 and $20, sometimes more depending on the centering and perforation quality. In rare cases, if the stamp is perfectly centered, graded high by experts, and kept in pristine condition, the value can go up to $50 or more. It's worth mentioning that errors, misprints, or unusual cancellations can make the price skyrocket even further. Now, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the stamp market more broadly. In recent years, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a renewed interest in collectibles, including coins, trading cards, and even stamps. Many people rediscovered their old albums during lockdowns, and online marketplaces like eBay, Delcamp, and Hipstamp saw surges in sales. High-value stamps like the British Guiana 1C Magenta and the inverted Jenny continue to grab headlines and sell for millions. But everyday stamps like the 2-cent Harding also saw a modest boost in demand, especially among new collectors entering the hobby. It's a perfect storm of nostalgia, accessibility, and a desire to invest in tangible assets. On Stamps Old World UK, we always remind our viewers that stamp collecting is as much about passion and preservation as it is about profits. While it's exciting to imagine a fortune hidden in your attic, most collectors find the real value in the stories these stamps tell. The Harding stamp, for example, speaks to a moment in American history marked by national mourning and transition. It's more than just ink on paper. It's a reflection of culture, politics, and human emotion from nearly a century ago. If you are looking to sell or evaluate your stamps, the best step is to start with proper identification and condition assessment. Use a magnifying glass, a perforation gauge, and a watermark detector if you have one. Check online catalogs such as the Scott catalog, which is widely used in the United States, or Stanley Gibbons, which is popular in the UK and internationally. From there, you can browse recent sales on eBay, look at auction house archives, or consult a trusted dealer. Always take note of whether the stamp is used or mint, whether it has faults like tears, creases, or missing perforations, and whether it has historical or printing anomalies. For viewers who are interested in investing, the best advice is to buy quality over quantity. 10 high-grade stamps will always be worth more than 1,000 common ones in poor condition. Rarity, historical significance, and demand are the three pillars of stamp value. And with inflation and economic uncertainty, some investors are beginning to look at stamps as an alternative store of value, much like fine art or vintage wines. As we wrap up today's exploration of stamp market value in today's dollar, we hope this has given you a clearer picture of how collectible stamps are priced and what makes them so intriguing. Whether you are a casual enthusiast or a serious investor, stamps like the 1923 Harding issue can be a fantastic starting point for diving into the world of philately. Here at Stamps Old World UK, we'll continue bringing you the latest insights, historical context, and collecting tips to help you navigate the fascinating world of Old World postage.
Next up, the 2-cent Harding Memorial stamp, particularly the rare white or gray-black version, which has fascinated collectors and historians for nearly a century. We'll uncover the full story behind this stamp, its market value in today's dollar, the difference between regular issues and special varieties, and how its history plays into what collectors are paying right now. Whether you're a seasoned philatelist, a curious investor, or someone who just inherited an old stamp album, this episode will open your eyes to the remarkable potential hidden in what appears to be just a simple piece of paper. The stamp we are focusing on today features the profile of President Warren G. Harding, issued shortly after his unexpected death in 1923. Known as the Harding Memorial Issue, it was produced as a gesture of national mourning and respect. While the most common version is printed in black ink, there is a very special variation, the white or grayish-black stamp, that has stirred debate and admiration for decades. This version was printed using a different method, and fewer copies exist, making it significantly rarer than the standard black issue. It is this variety that truly holds the attention of advanced collectors and investors alike. To understand its value in today's market, we must look at multiple key elements: scarcity, condition, historical demand, and public interest. Let's start with scarcity. The white or grayish-black version of the 2-cent Harding stamp was printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing using a special rotary press method, and a limited number of these stamps were distributed before the standard black flat-plate version became the dominant issue. Today, finding a mint-condition example of the white variety is extremely difficult. Collectors who possess one in pristine, unused condition with perfect gum and centering could be looking at a value ranging from $50 to over $300, depending on market timing and condition. On the flip side, a used example with clear cancellation marks might bring in between $5 to $20, but again, much depends on its overall appearance and whether it has any rare features, such as plate flaws, printing errors, or experimental ink variations. A perfectly centered white Harding with no faults and a light cancellation can be far more valuable than many modern collectors realize. Some recent sales on platforms such as eBay and specialized auction houses have shown white Harding stamps in exceptional condition, selling for well over $150. The rarity of this version cannot be overstated, and it's worth checking your own collection closely to identify which type you may have. Here at Stamps Old World UK, we always stress the importance of careful examination and authentication. Differences between the black and white versions can be subtle to the untrained eye. Lighting conditions, paper aging, and even scanning resolution can sometimes mislead novice collectors. Therefore, professional grading or comparison with trusted catalog references like the Scott Catalog or Stanley Gibbons is always recommended. The Scott number for the standard black issue is 610, while the white version is often cataloged as 612, with different identifiers used in other catalog systems. You should also check the perforation count, watermark presence, and ink quality using a magnifier and philatelic tools. Let us also not forget the emotional and historical appeal of the stamp. Issued just weeks after President Harding's passing, the stamp was part of a broader national moment of reflection. Harding was a controversial but widely mourned president, and the issuance of a special memorial stamp marked a significant moment in American postal history. The white version in particular is thought to symbolize a more solemn and ceremonial tone, unlike the more widely circulated black edition. This dual symbolism, historical and aesthetic, adds layers of depth to the collector's appreciation and explains why demand remains high nearly a century later. Turning to today's market trends, the stamp world has seen a quiet but steady resurgence. As traditional investment avenues become saturated or volatile, more people are turning to collectibles like coins, fine art, and yes, stamps as alternative stores of value. Stamps, unlike digital assets or paper securities, are tangible, limited in supply, and rich in cultural meaning. Rare issues like the white Harding stamp attract attention not only from hobbyists, but also from investors and historians. The rise of online auction platforms has further democratized access to rare stamps, allowing collectors from around the world to bid on items once limited to elite auction rooms. On websites such as eBay, Del Campe, and Hipstamp, verified sales show a growing willingness to pay premium prices for high-quality historical stamps. And let us be clear, the condition of your stamp is everything. Factors such as centering, perforation integrity, color vibrancy, and gum presence all affect valuation. A stamp that is off-center or with damaged perforations might be worth only a fraction of its catalog value, even if it's a rarer variety. Conversely, a well-preserved stamp stored away from humidity, sunlight, and fingerprints could significantly increase in value over time. We recommend storing all collectible stamps in archival quality albums and using stamp tongs to handle them safely. It may seem tedious, but the payoff and preservation is well worth it, especially for rarer issues like the white 2-cent Harding. For those who may be looking to sell, there are a few avenues. Local stamp clubs can be a great resource, not just for valuation, but for networking and learning. You can also consider professional appraisal through accredited dealers or mailing your stamp to an authentication service. Make sure to photograph both sides clearly and include close-ups of any notable features. It's also smart to track recent sales of similar stamps on reputable platforms to gauge what buyers are currently willing to pay. As we near the end of today's feature on the white 2-cent Harding stamp, let this episode serve as both an educational guide and an invitation to dive deeper. The stamp market is rich with stories, economic potential, and intellectual satisfaction. Whether you're cataloging a childhood collection or building an investment portfolio, stamps like these are gateways into history, culture, and economics all at once. At Stamps Old World UK, we believe every collector has a story, and every stamp has a legacy waiting to be explored. Thank you for joining us in this in-depth exploration of one of America's most quietly powerful memorial stamps. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share Stamps Old World UK with fellow collectors and enthusiasts. Drop a comment below if you have a 2-cent Harding stamp or would like help identifying other stamps from your collection. Your feedback helps us bring you better, more focused content every week. Until next time, keep collecting, keep learning, and above all, keep history alive, one stamp at a time.